A truck driver from Cleveland, Ohio, puts a 2-week notice in at his trucking company.
Okay. No, 2-week notice to quit.
2-week notice to quit, right? That's usually what a 2-week notice is, right?
I just wanted to confirm.
Okay. So he puts his notice in because he wants to do the right thing.
Right. Giving 2 weeks. I can understand that.
Right. That's a lot of guys, they say, I want to do the right thing.
Right.
Right. So a couple days later, they route him through the terminal and they proceed to get the dispatcher and the operations manager. I forget who it is, but the
higher ups.
They sit him down
and
they talk to him. Apparently he was quitting because he wasn't making any money.
Which is usually one of the reasons.
Number one reason why truckers quit.
Right. I don't blame him either.
Right. So there he is. And I guess he had been there 4 or 5 months. When he started, everything was great. He was running, he was making money, everything's going good.
Mm-hmm. And he's gave him a, good 4 or 5 months. So it's not like it's, some drivers after 2 or 3 weeks, start panicking.
Well, just remember, when he first started, it was going well.
Right.
Apparently the last month or so, not making money, kept telling his dispatcher, I can't live like this. If I'm going to be out here on the road, I'm going to need to make the money to be out here.
So he was an OTR, so he's completely overrode, not regional or anything.
I mean, I guess, yeah. That would be my guess. Like
I kind of figured it when you said he gave the 2 week and stuff, because that's usually,
Right. So there he is sitting in their office now. And so they start making all kind of promises, right? And so what does he do? Tells his new company that he was supposed to go to, I'm not coming. I'm going to give this company a chance. Which I got to hand it to him, because most drivers wouldn't even tell the new company and they would burn a bridge there.
Right. So he's trying to do the right thing all the way around.
Yeah, he's actually not a bad guy. So flash forward maybe a month.
Okay. So this is about 6 weeks after he put his notice in.
Yeah. Flash forward now a month from when they sat him down, and it never changed. His paychecks are still crap. He's still not making money. All he did was, stayed at the job, blew an opportunity that he had with another company because they, gave him a bunch of broken promises. Right. It's sad, isn't it?
It is sad, because he gave all that time. First of all, he gave 4 to 5 months to the company and watched it start going down, but he still gave him enough time to, bring it back. And then on top of that, he sat there and listened to what, dispatch, the bosses or higher ups that you're saying that came in there. He gave them the benefit of the doubt too. So he sounds like he's a very decent driver.
Right. And so like recently I also talked to a driver that told me his company requires a 2-week notice or they fine them $1,000. I swear to you, a driver told me this recently. And I said, dude, honestly, I would love to see a company do that, because you can go to the labor board. You can go to, just go to the proper authorities. Nobody can keep your earned dollar. It's a law. The law, even earned bonuses. A company can't even keep that. So here's this guy, afraid to quit his job. Even if it's a crappy company, he's got to leave him 2-week notice. So anyways, go back to the other driver. He stayed another month, right? And now he's going to quit. Should this guy leave another 2-week notice? And I say no.
I wouldn't.
And now, a lot of companies might get pissed off hearing us say this. But here's the advice I have for truck drivers. Okay? Let me just flip the script for a second. Let's say you're a driver that's been with the same company for 5-10 years. And maybe you're just going to go buy a truck, or you're doing a lease purchase somewhere. You're going to try something different. Or maybe you're an over-the-road guy, and now you're going to go local. I don't have a problem with a guy leaving a 2-week notice, and that is the right thing to do. You've been with them for a long time. Let's say he's not leaving because of money. He's just leaving because he wants something different. Then the right thing to do, I think, is leave a 2-week notice. Okay, the company's taking care of you. All right, but now go back to this guy. He left a 2-week notice. They talked him out of quitting. He stayed another 4 weeks. He went in the hole more. He's broke. Now, should he leave another 2-week notice? I say no. Now, what about another driver that is going to quit a job? He's been there 4 or 5 months, and he hasn't been making any money in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks. I tell you, I don't see a problem with a guy that says, I'm not leaving a 2-week notice. I don't have a problem with that guy. If a company expects him to do the right thing, but they're not feeding him and they're not giving him the miles. Now, I say this, as long as you're a driver that's always available for dispatch and you're not trying to go home all the time, you're not refusing loads, you're a guy that actually puts it in the wind and you run and you do what the trucking company's customers need you to do.
Right.
Okay, because you can't say, I'm not making any money if you're the guy that's refusing loads.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't come to me and tell me the story.
3 days after you're home, you're finally calling in and saying, okay, I'm ready to drive again.
Right. Hey, Troy, let me tell you my sob story. Don't come to me with that. But this guy was legit. He's got, leaving notice. The company jacked him on that, blah, blah, blah. And so I say this, I want to do the math for you. I want to just do the math for anybody that is working, truly working. You're taking any dispatch, you're not refusing loads, and you're running and you're saying, hey man, I can't get miles here. Because some guys, again, they claim they can't get miles. It's, well, a lot of it has to do with the way they refuse loads and they want to go home and then stay home extra and blah, blah, blah. You can't do that. But so let's go ahead. You got a driver that's willing to run, and you go ahead and you leave a 2-week notice to a company that hasn't been running you and you're going broke. Okay, think about this. All right, you already got hired at another company, and now you're going to leave a 2-week notice. Let's start with week 1. At the end of week 1, you're still broke and you got a crappy paycheck like you had for the previous 4 weeks. Okay? That's week 1 of your 2-week notice. Week number 2 of your 2-week notice. At the end of that week, you got a crappy paycheck because, why? Because they're not giving you the miles. And they know you're quitting anyways, right? So now you leave week number 3. You've gone through the orientation, right? Think about it. You've gone through the orientation and maybe you get 1 or 2 days of running in with your new company. Week 3, crappy paycheck. All because you left a 2-week notice. Week 3, crappy paycheck. Now, flash forward to week 4. Are you with me, Ruth Ann?
I'm with you.
Okay. Ruth Ann, my dear. Week 4, you get your first full week of running in with your new company, right? Mm-hmm. That's week 4. At the end of that week, right, you turn in your bills. You don't even get a paycheck till the following week if they don't hold anything back. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in week 5, because you had to leave a 2-week notice and do the right thing, and the way it plays out, at the end of week 5, normally, that's when you get your first good paycheck. All because you wanted to leave a 2-week notice. That's the pickle you put yourself in.
Yeah. No, I agree.
The question I have to you is...
To me...
Yeah, do you leave a 2-week notice?
I mean, I could, like you said, if it has to do with money, then I honestly, if they are not feeding you, then I wouldn't consider it. Because when a company wants to get rid of you, a lot of times they don't give you a 2-week notice. And a lot of times if they don't give you a 2-week notice, they don't give you a severance pay. They're not going to say, hey, listen, we're going to let you go now, but what we're going to do is give you what your average paycheck was, for a week, and we're going to give that to you for the next 2 weeks so that you have like a quote 2-week notice. So if they're not going to offer something like that, why should you give them 2 weeks?
Again, I'm with you. If it's like you said, you said if it's about money. Well, if it's about money, then the company is already, obviously when they recruit you, they're telling you, here's the kind of money our drivers are averaging. As long as you're running, blah, 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 you should be able to make this kind of money. Now, if a company's just desperate, and there's a lot of companies desperate, they got to keep, somebody's butt in a seat.
Right, for them to get something in.
Right. And so even though you don't have a lot of freight, and as of course the times we're in right now, the spot market or broker freight is horrible. So drivers are not getting fed like they really need to be. And the other thing is a lot of companies, they do what's called overhiring. A lot of times they'll try to overhire by 25% because 25% of your fleet is either on vacation or somebody's quitting or somebody's getting fired or there's trucks broke down or somebody's on light duty on workers' comp and they need these guys, to have a little extra drivers. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right, to cover those employees.
Right. So think about this. If you're with one of those trucking companies that will hire you and then the first so many months they feed you, but as they're getting new guys in, they got to feed them. So guess who's getting fed last? The guy that's, already been there. It's kind of a crazy, and I don't think that these trucking companies are intentionally starving people. I think they're in a position, and this is the defense of the company. They're in a position right now where they can't feed because let's say you had 100 trucks, right? Why would you starve 20% of your fleet if you could feed them and make more money yourself? Obviously, right now you're just not capable of doing it. And then, I've talked to a lot of drivers that have had a certain dispatcher and they're making money and the dispatcher quits or he gets put somewhere else in the office. You get a new dispatcher and you're not making money at the same company on the same freight. So sometimes it's the dispatcher also. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And being able to make the money, if you've already been there and the last 3 paychecks are really bad, giving them that 2 weeks, like you said, that's then you're already 3 weeks down, giving them 2 weeks, that's a 5-week downer. You already impacted your monthly bills because there's 4 weeks in a month. So you've already impacted going into your next month. So if your rent wasn't completely made or your mortgage was a little tight or you had to hold back on something else, credit card payments, whatever you prioritize, whatever you couldn't make your full payment on because you were low on your income, that right there hit to where now you're going to go into 2 months of having something be behind or where you can't make a full payment on it because you're not making enough. Your priorities are food and having a house and a roof over your kids and electric or water, those necessities.
You and I just drove 6 hours from northern Florida down to where we live. And you remember as you were getting out of the car, a driver called me. Mm-hmm. And he just called me and was telling me a few things. But the guy he's looking to find a trucking job. I should put his name out there for him. But he told me he was over the road and he came home 3 months ago and he was doing logging. And he said just that kind of work has put him so far behind. Like you were just saying about juggling your bills. This truck driver I was just talking to today told me he took a local job to be home more. And now he's forced to go back out on the road because a logger's job is really kind of a low paying job. And what do you think a driver's got to now do to make up for all these bills that he's behind? If you're living on $1,500, I'm just using a number of say $1,500 a week, and you go from making $1,500 a week take home to $600 a week take home at a local job for the next 4 weeks, you're now $2,000 in all. How many weeks do you have to now rob Peter to pay Paul?
Mm-hmm. It's a tough thing. It honestly is. It's really tough, especially if you're doing it on one income. So you're trying to think what you could do. I mean, there's been people, that I've talked to, it's like, okay, they had to go and, sell something just to make that extra few hundred to try and compensate. They were looking at, okay, I don't use these tools. I'm going to sell these tools. I'm going to do this just because they knew they wouldn't be able to make up that back. And they knew they couldn't get it done fast enough to where it wouldn't impact 4 and 5 weeks or 4 and 5 months down the road. So they were trying to do something faster, and it's a very hard situation to be put in as a driver to what you're going to do, especially if it's being regional, local, or having to go back on the road when you're used to being around your family for that little bit.
So 2 week notice if you're losing money. If it's me again, some companies are probably going, don't give them that advice, Troy. Well, to me, My question would be for anybody that's a trucking company. We've got a lot of trucking companies that follow us. Okay. My question for you as a trucking company, if your bills are behind because your employer promised you a certain amount of money and you're working up to your potential to what you told them you would do, what would you do? Would you leave a 2-week notice to your own? Would you leave yourself a 2-week notice right now if you were behind and you knew that the company you're working for has you in the hole and you're working your ass off and still not getting money? What would you do yourself? And I already know the answer. Okay. So please don't write to me saying that's bad advice giving drivers. My advice is do what's best for you, driver, and don't abandon trucks. Okay. If you're pissed off, don't get all emotional. Just smile, say thank you, take the truck back. And even if you have to pay for your own way home, okay. Or just tell your new trucking company. I'm sure they'll send you a plane ticket or something and get you out of there to your new job. But don't abandon trucks, because I'm going to tell you something. If a trucking company that you're going to work for isn't willing to wait for you and they tell you got to come today, you're going from one bad company to another bad company.
Yes, definitely. If another company wants to see someone else get their truck abandoned, that's not a good company to begin with either.
So 2-week notice. If it comes down to money, I wouldn't. Okay, but if you've been there a long time and they're good people, they're a good company, they've always taken care of you, I would say 2-week notice at least. That they would expect that, and you probably, and most of those guys that have been at the same company a long time, they're going to leave big notices anyways, Ruth Ann.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on. You want to take a break?
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here for break. We'll be right back. If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them TalkCDL sent you. Hey drivers, are you sick of watching the other drivers bypass the weigh station while you are held up going through yourself? Well, download Drivewyze today at www.drivewyze.com. That's DRIVEWYZE.com, and start bypassing the scales yourself. If you're a small carrier, an owner-operator, or even a big fleet looking for something better, check out Drivewyze today. And remember, there's no equipment, no transponders needed when you're using Drivewyze. Check them out for a free download at www.drivewyze.com. Drivers, if you're looking for a local, home, everyday driving job, apply with Carter Lumber today. They have positions for Class A and Class B local drivers. They can take experienced drivers, students, and non-CDL drivers. With over 160 locations, chances are they have a position for you. So go to carterlumber.com/TalkCDL and apply today. Again, that's carterlumber.com/TalkCDL. Thank you. If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them TalkCDL sent you. All right, we're back. I got just a quick note. Do you remember, I don't know, a month or two, a couple months ago, we did a little report on a town over West Palm Beach, Florida, that were trying to kick truckers out of their own neighborhoods that park in their driveways.
Yeah.
Okay, so that. And if you remember, some of these truckers had been there like 20 plus years. You know what I mean? And they've always been parking in their driveway and blah, blah, blah. And then a bunch of people from the north moved down. For real, that's what they had said, that some people from certain states up in the northeast, I won't say New York's name. Oops, I did. Anyways, so like a couple people from like a couple of those northeast states had moved down and then started complaining Okay, I don't know if it's an HOA where they live, but anyways, remember they were going to go to court and they were petitioning to say, hey, at least let us, as far as a grandfather law goes, at least the ones that have been here for 20. I mean, literally, I read the article, and like some of them have been there like 22, 23 years, parking in their own driveway, like one truck, and the decision came back, and they said, nope, you got till July 1st to get your rig out of the driveway and take it somewhere else.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
It's like, come on, guys. So I guess people from the north moved down. They're like, well, they're making our neighborhood look not as, we lose value if people have their rigs parked in their driveway. Yeah, that's what they do. They look at that stuff and they think that. Now, a lot of those snowbirds that come down have big Winnebagos and big campers.
Oh, the fifth wheels.
Yep. So I would say what's good for the goose. They are eyesores. I think they are good. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right?
Right.
If I can't park my semi truck and my big rig in my driveway, and these are guys with bobtails, by the way, that were just parked.
So they're not even a reefer running or something that has to be continually running and making a noise.
There was no mention of that.
See? There you go.
Okay, now I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying there was no mention of that, and so. Now these guys, all these truck drivers, and it's like if you remember from what we read, this neighborhood over in West Palm Beach County, I think it is, right? If you remember, it was predominantly a lot of working class truckers in that area. Like, I'm not saying like for every 1,000 trucks there was 900 truckers. I'm just saying there was a bunch of people in those neighborhoods that were able to just pull their rig into their driveway nicely and park the truck when they're on their off time. And now here they are getting booted out. So now the one councilwoman that was involved, she had warned the board and said, listen, you do this, you got a big lawsuit. These truck drivers ain't going to play around. They're going to go file. Guess what? All the truckers got together and filed a lawsuit.
Good for them.
So now we're going to find out, okay, where is that going to go? And personally, if these guys have to go and pay for parking and all this other stuff, I hope they get compensated. I hope they sue West Palm Beach County if I got the right county. Okay, alleged county. But I hope that the truckers win, and I hope, but I just being honest with you, there's so much other stuff that ordinances and counties should be worried about other than somebody parking their tractor in their driveway.
And it's not like it's hurting anything. Like I said, it's not like it's making a bunch of noise. It's not hurting. There's nothing it could be doing to their own. I can't fathom how it's happening. If they pay their taxes and they don't, I could see if, the house is completely destroyed on the outside and, the grass is never cut and stuff, where they could say it's having a little value issue. Yeah, nobody wants to see, 4 cars up on blocks sitting out front and grass up over the hood of the cars. That is an eyesore. But a semi-tractor parked in there, and I can tell you, if they're an owner-operator, they're making them look pretty, sitting in front of their house in their own driveway for a few hours.
Well, I have seen some owner-operators with 2 different colored doors, but that's not as normal as, like you said, they're all chromed out and nice-looking trucks. But I do have a message to the mayor.
All right.
Mind your own business. Hey, do you think the mayor bought anything lately that a truck brought? If you
I'm sure
bought
they
it,
did.
If you bought it, a trucker brought it, right? Have a little respect, guys. Moving on, Ruth Ann.
Moving on.
So, what do we got next, Ruth Ann Austin? A quick note: a flatbed company called me, small company, and he said he wanted to tell me. He said, one of the trends they're seeing lately is many people are trying to buy flatbed trailers rather, that are normally hauling drive-ins and reefers, right? And a lot of their drivers don't have flatbed experience. But because they think that flatbed freight pays better, they're trying to flip over to make a little extra money. And, the warning is, guys, if you're buying flatbeds and you're going and buying all kinds of equipment, chain straps and all that stuff, but your drivers don't have flatbed experience, I would somehow, some way get them a little bit of load securement, because that's nothing to play with. What do you think?
Oh, definitely, because the securement of the load, the straps got to go specifically. And not only that, but I remember when I was doing training, I had to look at when you're going, I guess, like every so many miles or every 2.5 hours, something like that, you had to pull over and recheck your straps because they vibrate loose and stuff when you're going down the road.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. So your normal drivers don't really honestly think about that if that's all they've ever done is like van or reefer. They don't have to. So if you're not really thinking about that and it's something that you're not accustomed to, you do have to know what you're doing.
You know, you've seen the videos and the pictures on TalkCDL's Facebook page.
Is this load secured?
Right. Oh, especially of flatbed freight that has shot through the back of tractors. Mm-hmm. So if I was a driver and the owner, and I was pulling a reefer, a van, and the owner said to me, "Hey, just got you a new 53-foot flatbed trailer, spread axle, sliding tandem. You're hauling flatbed stuff. Go pick up these coils." I'd be like, "All right, I'm putting in my 2-hour notice."
2 hour.
I'm just saying, man. Like it's for real. I'm not pulling. You got to have respect for the load. If you don't have respect for the load, and you're just gonna go down the road thinking it's like pickup trucks, for example, right? You can set something in a pickup truck because of the way the wind goes. A lot of times it won't even blow around or nothing. Like you could set like a garbage can upright in some pickups and go down the road and it won't fall over, right? And you might be thinking, well, I mean, it's pickup trucks, nothing goes flying over. It's the way you drive. No, on a flatbed, it is super dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So guys and gals, do yourself a favor. If you're trying to switch over to flatbed stuff, make sure your drivers have a good training in load securement. And that's all I really wanted to mention, that because a buddy of mine had mentioned that to me, and I just thought I'd pass that on to, and I know there's probably people going, "Gulp, that's me." Get yourself a little safety in you, buddy. All right, moving on, Rutan.
Moving on.
Hey, just wanted to mention also, I think we were one of the first people to break the news this week. We got a tip off on Arnold going out of business. We had put it up on the page on YouTube and everything, but sad, isn't it? I think they were down to 400 and some trucks. Arnold Transportation out of was it Grand Prairie or something like that? But anyways, they're a Texas-based company, drive-in in business, and this is what I captioned on YouTube: Arnold Transportation dead at 92 years of age. But it's sad when 400 and some drivers are out of work.
It's sad to see.
Yeah.
I mean, 92 years in the industry is an excellent rate. I mean, you don't generally hit that kind of markers as a standard company. I mean, a lot of times companies go, and what are they, 30 years, and they're done. And it's usually because if it's a family-owned company, so, Pop starts it, Pop moves it on to his kids, and then that next generation after that, they are out of it. They don't want anything to do with the industry, so the company goes under. And
what's the deal on most of the times when somebody goes out of business? It's usually just bad management. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Okay, because first off, I'm going to name the group. I think they're called the Pride Group or Pride Transport or something like that. There's a couple other companies in with them, but Pride is the company that had bought them out a couple years ago. So they were doing fine without Pride, right? Mm-hmm. So and here's my thing. Okay, to me it's always bad management, for the simple reason we're in bad times. But guess what? There's a lot of companies thriving. There's a lot of companies right now making it. They may not be getting rich. They're paying their bills. They're paying their drivers, right? They're not going out of business. Okay, but the ones that don't know how to save for a rainy day, the ones that don't know how to manage it, the ones that honestly and truly hire the wrong people to run their... Do you know how many people I've met in trucking? And I'm talking vice presidents, CEOs, bean counters. Do you know how many I have met in the 30 plus years I'm in this industry? Do you know how many I've met and said to myself, how the hell did that guy get his job title? Do you know how many I've met? And I'm telling you, boatloads of guys that are running companies that really, honestly, should not be in the position. Maybe they should, give them another job. You know what I mean? Dispatcher or something. And I'm not putting dispatchers down, but most dispatchers aren't cut out to run a trucking company. Would you agree?
No, I do agree. I agree 100%. I could tell you, the breakdown in communication destroys a company. when you don't communicate with one another, a breakdown of it. You have your dispatcher and your drivers always have to stay in communication. Safety and whoever has to stay in communication. And if you have a person that can't do communicating and cannot function in the job that they're supposed to do, like say a dispatcher, if they don't know how they're really supposed to route someone, they're not going to succeed in running your company well when it comes to getting that freight delivered, especially if they don't know how to, oh, the freight picks up here in this city and it delivers over in this city, and then I could do a backhaul back over here. If they don't understand the way the road is supposed to be going and the time frame it takes to get from A, B to C, you'll lose.
So what you're saying is it's not just the people managing it, it's everybody. If you have weak links in your company,
exactly,
you're going to lose. Bad dispatchers chase away drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
And drivers are what you need to keep. In fact, most companies do agree that the drivers do make the company. It's true.
Well, here's the thing. Who hires the dispatchers? The managers. So if the manager don't know what they're doing, they're going to hire people that they don't know what they're doing.
It's always bad management. And then the guy that's spending, the guy that's doing the spending, he's also
pocketing.
Well, I'm not. We're not saying that anybody was dipping in the till over there, are we? Yeah. No.
They make sure their money's being paid.
Yeah. Why don't we? It's my New York thing. But anyway, no. But seriously, bottom line, it's 99.9% always bad management,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts with the money. It starts with, like you just said, it's not only just the money, it's who you're hiring to run your company. If you've got a guy, I'm going to tell you something. I've told people this before. I worked for this company a long time ago that was in retention. We did interviews with trucking companies, the drivers that were quitting those companies. We would call drivers up and we would talk to them about, this would be like 60, 90 days after they had left the company. We would call them up and we would talk to them about, hey, we see that you left the company. Can we ask you a few questions? And a lot of them were really cool. They're like, yeah, give me time. And we're like, just be honest. We want to know what was the reason you quit? Did you like your truck? Did you like your runs? Did you like your home time? Were you making the right amount of money? And this one trucking company out of Indiana, I'll never forget it. The 90% of these guys that were quitting was because of a guy named Tommy on night dispatch. I'm not joking.
I remember you telling me.
I won't say the name of the company. And so, but this guy on night dispatch, well, when we gave our report to the company, that was the last time we worked for them because they didn't want to hear it. You know why? Because Tommy was like the stepson or the nephew, or he was
a family member.
He was like the redheaded stepchild that they didn't know what to do with him, so they put him at night dispatch, and everybody hated this guy's gut. He wouldn't communicate right. He was ignorant. And literally, when the drivers were quitting, a lot of them were quitting because of this guy, but they refused to get rid of him. And so just imagine how much money Tommy cost the company. Therefore, who hired, like you said, who hired Tommy? Somebody at the top hired Tommy, and they didn't have the balls to say, listen, he's family, just put him on a salary, but don't let him come here because he's costing. You'd have been better off paying his ass to stay home because he was costing you guys money. All right, grow some balls, trucking companies. If you got management or dispatchers or people that are not cutting the grade, get rid of them, because you know what, it's hurting your bottom dollar.
You got to look at, when you hire the person, you can't hire someone in sales for, to try and get freight for you when it's really not, they're not used to selling in the trucking industry.
That's a good point.
You can't go and have a dispatcher or someone put in dispatching when they really don't know cities in the United States and how to read a map. You know what I mean? There's things that you have to really look at. Now, I know that there's people that will go into, hey, I worked over here at Western for 3 years and now I'm over here at, Arnold, and
ex-Arnold.
Well, I'm trying to use companies without trying to make it sound like I'm being mean to companies, so I'm trying to throw something out there.
Arnold.
What happens is they'll think, okay, well, they know what they're doing. They're coming from this company and they've already been in this industry. Not always. They might not know what they're doing because they might not really been trained really well on how to do it in that industry. So they really are got half the knowledge. So sometimes it's much better to get someone and really sit down and train them very well in what you're wanting from them.
Well, so what it comes back to is, and again, we were talking about Arnold. We kind of went off the rails a little bit on this subject, but it's very emotional when you think about it, because, you know, a lot of drivers can see problems, and don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of companies right now going, well, there's a lot of bad drivers, and of course we're not taking that away, but you see, just like when we get on the drivers' cases, right now we're on the managers' cases. So let's own up to this, guys. If you have take it out of the pages of these companies that go out of business, because most of the time it's bad management. Somebody's got to be, you almost need to be like a Vegas casino. You got the pit bosses being watched by, remember in casino, when he's like, this guy's watching this guy and this guy's watching. You need to have everybody watching each other, because if you have a major weak link, you guys are losing money. And I'm going to tell you something. It starts with the leadership of the company, not with the drivers. I'm going to tell you that right now. It starts with the leadership. When you go out of business, if you're having a lot of problems right now in your financial place, it's because somebody is managing you wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. Somebody made the wrong buy. Somebody made the wrong decision. Now, here's the other thing. If you lost a contract, that's also your own fault, just because somebody underbid you. You know, there's always, if you've been a long-time customer with somebody, there's always a way to come back and say, hey, listen, we've been with you for years. Give us a chance to beat that bid, okay, and still make money, all right? I understand if you're a smaller company and you get outbid by a big company, you can't beat those guys. I get it. They can haul freight a lot cheaper. There are sometimes you go out of business, it isn't anybody's fault, but somebody slicing you down. But 99% of the time, Ruth, they say it's management. And we will move on from there instead of beating the dead horse. No, I'm kidding. All right. So, Ruth, moving on. Question for you. You had a couple fan mails that you wanted to read a little bit of today. Did you want to read them real quick?
I do.
So what do we got from the people writing in at TalkCDL? We do get a lot of emails, by the way. And listen, you guys are all awesome that write in, and we love it when you send us videos and pictures, but we can't put everything up on the podcast. But so we just kind of randomly pick things every now and then to talk about. So
well,
what do you got?
there's certain things that just kind of catch me. So this one is from a driver. His name, hello, my name is Ree, pronounced R-E-E. You know?
Spelled R-E.
No, it's spelled R-I, but it's like Ryan.
Oh, cool.
But it's pronounced Ree.
Okay.
So he goes, and I just discovered your show last fall. At that time, I was looking for a new career path, and I decided to look further into the commercial truck driving. While looking into how to obtain my CDL, I came across your podcast. From the very first episode I listened to, I appreciated how real you two were when it comes to the trucking industry. I love the fact that you talk about the industry's highs and lows, the way you give advice to upcoming and current drivers, and stories to share from your own experiences as truck drivers. I also can't get enough of your playful banter, Troy's wacky impressions, and Ruth Ann's upbeat personality really give the show life and keep me coming back to every episode. I enrolled in truck driving school in November. When I showed up to my first class, I was already familiar with so much of the CDL terminology because I binged so many episodes of your show. My instructors and classmates were impressed with how much I knew. I was talking about bobtailing, deadheading, dispatchers, and CB radios like I grew up trucking. Fast forward to this year, I passed my commercial driver's test and am now officially a CDL holder. Woo, woo, woo. I honor my CDL and hold it closely because I know how valuable it is. As Troy says, it's like a diploma and deserves to be treated with respect. Listening to this podcast has truly made me a better four-wheeler driver as well. I know how detrimental texting while driving, distracted driving, and other moving violations can be to my record and to my future. Truck drivers are professionals, and I will make sure I always do what I can to show respect to the industry and all the amazing truck drivers out there. Please know that your podcast is helping people of all backgrounds not only get familiarized with commercial trucking, but also exposing us to all the realities of this industry. Thank you so much for all you do. God bless. P.S. How can I get a TalkCDL hat? Ray, send me your address.
Wow.
I'll get you a hat.
Ruth Ann's giving out free hats. We're going to go broke. This is bad management.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Well, and his name is what? Dree?
Ree, R-E-E. Well,
Ree?
that's how you pronounce it.
Ray. Well, honestly, thank you. That was a really cool letter. We appreciate the confidence, and we appreciate the compliments because, honestly, a lot of people don't realize, Ruth Ann, how much time gets put into the podcast and the social media and all that other stuff. And, you do it. And, the thank yous. And it's like we were just, we usually are at a truck show somewhere. And it's just really, to me, the reward is everybody saying, hey, the podcast is working, guys. All the work you're putting in, we appreciate it. And it's good advice. And I really, you have no idea how appreciative we are of this.
Well, very appreciative. I mean, we do put a lot. We hope we make everybody happy by putting what we can into it and doing all that we can to make it a nice podcast. But first and foremost, we have other jobs that we try and do. But no, seriously though, we are always trying to make sure that we do the best at the podcast as we possibly can.
So thank you again for that, Ruth. And you have another letter you want to read?
I do. This one's from Mike. Hello, I enjoy listening to your podcast every week. My name is Mike. I haul explosives for the mining industry out of South Carolina. I recently heard on your show about a driver that said he bought a CB for about $700, but he couldn't get out on it. I don't know how many new drivers know that the antennas also need to be tuned, and it wouldn't hurt also to get the radio peaked and tuned. They can find a reliable CB shop that can do that, and it makes all the differences in the performance of the CB. There's not as many CB shops out there as there used to be. Hope this helps. Thanks. Thank you, Mike, because that is true. We always talk about the CBs, but we really never mentioned about the antennas.
And we truly, that's another thing, Ruth Ann, we truly appreciate when somebody actually writes in and also wants to contribute and help other drivers, like we're trying to do, so the industry, it's sad. We were traveling today on I-10 there, and there was a trucker on the side of the road broke down, and there was another trucker there helping him. And I said, oh man, I should have videoed that because it's encouraging, seeing old school truckers pulling on the side. And you got this guy, he took the time to write a letter saying, hey, let me help you out with your radio. Because let's be honest, a $700 radio, that thing should be walking and talking. It should be doing the job. And for some reason, the driver was not able to like he said, get out there on CB land. So hopefully the advice, he'll take that and he'll go to a CB shop and get it peaked, tuned, get the antennas looked at, maybe check out what kind of coax he's using and all that good stuff. But thank you for that advice. Did you have anything else, Ruth?
I do have one more.
Oh, the letter I sent you. Yeah.
This one is from Tom. He's one of our listeners that we've talked about before, that he had to retire from trucking because he had a stroke. He's from Canada. Yeah. And this is what Tom says, Tom McGarry. He says...
What's his advice about? Tell him.
Well,
it's the Ice Pick Bandit.
He does have his opinion. So
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he wrote in about the Ice Pick Bandit. Everybody wants to catch this clown.
Here up in Ontario, Canada...
They're on the lookout for
Tom's trying to help too.
The bandit, they want him even in Canada.
Right. So Tom says, my theory about the Ice Pick Bandit is I think he is actually a truck driver or has worked in the industry. Cutting brake lines in a truck or trailer only costs the owner of said equipment money and downtime, because as you know, all it will do is cause an air leak and prevent the brakes from releasing. Also, I don't believe he or she is using an ice pick to puncture tires, as I would imagine that would be hard to do. I think it's more like a corkscrew.
He could be right. Mm-hmm. I mean, the media has dubbed him the Ice Pick Bandit. Okay, and we're running with it. Everybody's running with it, but he's right. It could.
It's the way the holes are.
But I will tell you though, if you're punching the sidewall, you can honestly trail. Now, a truck tire is a lot thicker, but who knows? Maybe he's using a corkscrew. I don't know.
But he says, as for a company allowing a driver to put some sort of sticker or sign on the back of the trailer to notify four-wheelers that the truck can only do a specific speed, would probably not be allowed due to liability issues. And then he goes on to speak about another subject. I believe all truck drivers should own and use a CB radio. In my opinion, it is an important and useful tool, although there are a lot of garbage chatter on it at times, like CB Rambos and CB disc jockeys. It is still an important and useful tool. Keep up the great work on the podcast. I love listening. I wish that one day you would come to Truck World Truck Show. And I don't know how to pronounce this one.
It's in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's in Ontario, Mississauga.
His first name's Tom, right? Tom, I got a message for you. Be careful talking about the Bandit. He may come up to Canada and start picking tires up there.
He's like, I got to get towards Tom. He has my secrets.
Yeah. No, seriously though, that's something how you've got an entire country, an entire two countries, and who knows, maybe even in Mexico they're talking about it. Who knows? But everybody's after this jackass here. I believe he's in Georgia. I really do, because that's 90% of his victims are on the off ramps. And drivers, again, if you haven't heard of the Ice Pick Bandit, if you're traveling I-75, because it seems like I-75 is the big one, all the way from, honestly, northern Florida all the way up to Kentucky, this guy has struck. So if you pull off on any of these off ramps and you're sleeping, there's a good chance you'll wake up and all 18 wheels are flat, and now he's cutting brake lines. So be careful. If you got a lead on the Ice Pick Bandit, call me personally, write to me, Troy at TalkCDL.com. If you got something you want to do as far as coming on the show, you got videos or anything you want to do, you want to write to Ruth Ann, like most people, they write to you more. Why is that? They write to you more, and it's all personal. Hey, Ruth Ann, hi, I wanted to tell you this, I wanted to tell you that. I'm starting to feel lonely over here. What's going on? Why?
Because I'm more personable.
You're more approachable. No, but seriously, guys, I'm just kidding with you guys. Write to Ruth Ann if you got something that you want her to put on the show. It may get on, it may not. But write to her. Ruth Ann, you love getting emails from these guys.
I do.
Yeah, it's because she's right away. She's like, "Hey, listen, I want to read you another one." Like, I'll be driving. She'll be like, "Hey, guess what I got?" And she'll be like reading me emails from truck drivers. So, guys, write Ruth Ann. That's RUTHANN at TalkCDL.com. Write to me also. You know, I do get lonely, and some of you guys do write to me. I appreciate it. I'm just messing with you. But anyways, until we meet again, Ruth Ann, we're out of here. Peace. Wait, you got the word of the day.
Yes.
I almost forgot about it. Hey, I've been driving all day.
We're tired, but here's the word.
Rejoinder.
Rejoinder?
Rejoinder.
Okay.
So it's R-E, join, Join, der, der.
He rejoined her? Is that like remarrying? What is that?
Rejoinder.
Yeah. What does it mean?
It means a reply, especially a sharp or witty one.
Okay. Nice. You got a sentence for us?
I always think up the perfect rejoinder hours later, long after the chance for a retort is gone. That's me. I'll come up with something. I'll be like, man. And I'll get like looked at like, what? Like Rebecca will be like, what? I could have said this and I didn't. It takes forever sometimes for those brain cells to start functioning.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I guess we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.